Thank you so much to Dr. Fazlina for being able to join us this morning. And I'm welcoming Dr. Fazlina, Professor Fong, pengarah PEP, Puan Salmi, Timbalan pengarah PEP, and all the participants from all the mentors in our PEP program, UMS, and also uh, other lecturers and penjelas as well. So without further ado, I would like to read a little bit of like your brief biodata, Dr. Fatina, before we give the floor to you this morning. Um, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, Dr. Fatina Muhammad Sharef is an associate professor at the Department of Computer Science in the Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology, UPM. She is currently serving as the Deputy Director, Innovations in Teaching and Learning at the Center for Academic Development and Leadership Excellence, or CADe-LEAD, in UPM. In her portfolio at CADe, the mantra is for innovative educators to innovate both face-to-face and online learning as the important tools to deliver meaningful learning experience. In her teaching, she usually emphasizes on the experiential learning and believes blended learning is the best method to learn and teach. She uses multiple teaching modalities to ensure engaging delivery and so that higher order thinking skill could be obtained. So very strong introductions of our presenter this morning, Dr. Fazlina. How are we? How do you prefer this to be, Dr. Fazlina? We give the floor to you, and at the end we will allow like say 30 minutes for Q&A and perhaps some questions from the participants in the chat room, or how do you prefer it, Dr. Faldina?
Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Amin, Mr. Aminuddin, Ibrahim, for your kind introduction, and also to UMS, Dr. Sami, and Prof Fong for inviting me over. I would like to say hi to everybody. Maybe this is the first time for us to make connections and become friends. Usually in my sessions, I'll try to break from time to time and welcome interactions rather than pushing it all towards the end. Can we do that?
Right.
Is it alright with you?
Okay, that'd be fine.
Okay, sure. So shall I start or how?
Yes. Please, Dr. Faldina, the floor is yours.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I suddenly remember two things I forgot to put in, so it's there already. Allow me to share my screen. Can you see my screen? Yep. Can you see my screen? Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank you.
Okay, so
Fantastic.
I think this is a really good title. I would like to propose that we take this session as an opportunity for us to formulate together what are the practical guide to implement blended learning substitute. So in Malay, this blended learning substitute is pembelajaran teradun gantian. Actually, there is a guideline released by JPT on blended learning substitute. Today, I'll be sharing some parts are different in terms of how UPM determines on what is our maximum time to do the virtual classes, but the remaining, I hope you can take benefit for us to see how we can practically do blended learning substitute. Just a bit of information about myself. Actually, I'm ending my term at the CADe-LEAD CADE does not stand for CADe, it stands for CADe, but recently our scope of work have been extended to leadership excellence. Therefore, we have now the new acronym as CADe-LEAD. Besides that, so I'll be going, and I'm currently at my office as well at the Department of Computer Science at the Faculty of Computer Science Information Technology. For today, I propose that we cover 4 subtopics. Let's first go into the definition, and then to differentiate between PTS and PTG, pembelajaran teradun sokongan and pembelajaran teradun gantian. And then I'll take you through about self-instructional materials, how we can prepare one, because self-instructional material is now the currency for pembelajaran teradun gantian, pembelajaran anjal, as well as MOOC and micro-credentials. So I'll take the opportunity, as suggested by Dr. Samia, to introduce a bit about the latest innovation introduced by the Kementerian on the implementation of pembelajaran anjal. This pembelajaran anjal has recently been published in the news as the move by the new minister towards providing flexibility for students. So this is a step upwards above pembelajaran teradun gantian. So hopefully by sharing the mission and telling you what are the possible innovations coming up our way, you can come with your own planning. I'll also share some contoh pelaksanaan during this slot. Let us first start with definition. In this diagram, I hope to show the differences between the face-to-face. There is a spectrum actually. If we consider 100%, we can further dissect it into the several categories between face-to-face, blended, hybrid, and online. This term hybrid, if we refer to the both of these, blended and hybrid, are actually in the same category. For hybrid, learning takes place online and offline, meaning some students attend online, some students attend offline at the same time in one lesson. So this is the definition that MEPTA, the Majlis E-Learning IPTE, has produced. But if you look at the literature, and sometimes MQA also use blended/hybrid. In our opinion at MEPTA, this should be separated. For hybrid, we will focus on the execution of delivery of classes where some students attend physically, some students attend virtually, and the instructor is physical. So that counted as hybrid. Why I highlight hybrid? Because hybrid relates to blended. Blended, there are 2 categories, blended learning sokongan and blended learning gantian. So both of these are between 30 to 79% in a course. So there is also another definition for you to know that MQA have released that a conventional academic program, the maximum of courses that is conducted online is 60%. So to MQA, online means you can go up until 100%, but maximum of 60% of courses in a program. For ODL, a course must be delivered more than 80% online for it to be considered as an ODL course. And obviously in a ODL program, the number of online courses should be more than 60%. So hopefully this is clear. I have another slide also to tell you in words. Pembelajaran teradun merujuk kepada kursus yang mempunyai campuran. So this campuran is somehow translated into hybrid actually. So that is why the conclusion comes about. Campuran, or actually mix of the teaching approach online and face-to-face, where 30 to 79% of the content, activity, and the assessment of the course are conducted either to support or to replace the face-to-face. This has been stated in Dasar e-Pembelajaran Negara, which was released in Depan 2014. This is similar to what I explained just now, and the COPA ODL as well as MQA advisory note has also been released to further emphasize and to scrutinize the differences between these programs. On the right side, you can see this is slightly different with the national implementation. Because in UPM, we calculate only with jumlah jam bersemuka kuliah. For us, we calculate only on the face-to-face because we go back to the definition that we need to calculate it by the face-to-face rather than the whole SLT for a course. So hopefully this will be taken with caution. But for pembelajaran teradun sokongan, there is this 732 formula. This CFA, kita semua tahu kan, kebanyakan kita tahu there are 7 elements, 3 activities and 2 assessments that we need to upload in our model system for us to be considered as a pembelajaran teradun course. For pembelajaran teradun gantian, there are some criteria. Pensyarah mempunyai flexibility bilangan item pembelajaran di Putra Blast. In UPM, our system is called Putra Blast and it is also model based. All public higher education institution in Malaysia uses model, and in UPM we call it Putra Blast. In UPM we have the julat item pelaksanaan PTG. Pelaksanaan PDP can be either synchronous or asynchronous. So that means during the class that you conduct virtually, you can either give them a link like today through WebEx, through Zoom, through Google Meet for you to deliver and conduct learning activities online where everybody attend together. This is what synchronous means. You are also allowed to do tidak segera, asynchronous learning. For example, by you uploading the self-instructional materials for the purpose of self-learning by the students. These self-instructional materials, I have a section to properly describe to you how you can build it and how it can support your teaching. The attendance in UPM for the purpose of PTG, pembelajaran teradun gantian, we allow the lecturers to use attendance function in Putra Blast, but actually we also allow flexibility such as using Google Form or even using WhatsApp listing of students who attend on that day. Pelaksanaan PTG also tidak terhad kepada satu kursus untuk satu fakulti, so this is just to try to mitigate any misconception. It is allowed for a program depending on the approval at the faculty level. Let's look at the objective. The purpose is to support flexibility for instructor and for the students also to attend courses both in online and face-to-face. It is also to increase the lecturer in digital competency in their teaching and learning activities, provides alternatives for the students. Let's say, especially if you recall during COVID, there was a time, COVID recovery after MCO, there was a time that we need to schedule the ratio of students who need to come to the university. And for some cases, some of our facilities may be not enough for us to do penjarakan social. So this is an option to do PTG and to do hybrid at that time. It is also to prepare the students for future learning and future skills by active participation during physical as well as online, so they will be determined in their learning. I am now coming to the difference between PTS and PTG. Here, the blended learning supplement or blended learning sokongan. Online learning is used to support or supporting, but by term actually it's supplement to support physical and face-to-face learning. Meaning, when we go and meet the students face-to-face, we use some technology like most of the classes typically they have computer at the front, so the lecturer will put up the slides on the wall, and sometimes from time to time, while in the face-to-face class, we'll ask the student to use certain cloud apps for us to complete the learning activities. This is called blended learning supporting supplement, where you use online learning for you to upload your materials, for you to deliver. Meanwhile, the blended learning substitute is to replace the physical and face-to-face learning. This is conducted by synchronous as well as asynchronous session. For synchronous, lecturer and students attend together in common online space for the lesson. For asynchronous, students learn on their own using self-instructional materials. Communication must happen but not necessarily immediately for asynchronous. For hybrid learning, learning happens through some students attend the lesson physically and face-to-face at the lesson located together with the lecturer, and at the same time, some students follow the lesson online. So these are the definition. Look at the difference here. In UPM, we have started pembelajaran teradun gantian since 2019, before pandemic happens. So we were lucky when pandemic happens. There are groups of people who have experienced pembelajaran teradun gantian, so they are familiar already with synchronous and asynchronous teaching, and we are improvising it to now allow the kuliah maya to be done more than 7 weeks, maximum towards 10 weeks. In UPM, initially, in the first 2 semesters that we conducted it before the COVID, the Senate only allow us to do kuliah maya up to maximum of 3 weeks. And then CADe had to do study on the implications of pembelajaran teradun gantian to the students. After they are satisfied, the Senate has given approval to extend it up to 7 weeks in UPM. If we look, besides this main difference, other parts are the implication to the jump credit. For UPM, we conducted 30 to 50% from the jumlah jam bersemuka kuliah. Other universities, if they use the national, they would calculate this 30 to 50% from the total SLT of the course. I'm not sure how is it done in UMS. Prof or Dr. Sami, can you please share?
Dr. Fad, thank you. For UMS, we are based on the SLT.
Okay, for the whole course, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, noted. So hopefully everybody will take attention to that. In terms of the implementation for pembelajaran teradun sokongan, it is to sokong or supplement the face-to-face. For gantian, we don't have to go to meet the student physically. So this is the main characteristics. Things to upload. There are certain things to upload. For UPM, we count based on the credit. So this credit is different from your implementation, because for this part, calculation directly from the SLT, and the kuliah maya for UPM, we are allowed to certain number of weeks only. For UMS, I think there is no limit on the number of weeks to be done online. Is it, Pasami?
For UMS, it's still, I think, up to, it depends on the faculty actually. We are given until 50%, so up to 7 weeks. But it depends on the faculty. It's between 4 weeks to 7 weeks. So,
Okay,
but
good to
it
know.
dependent on the faculty.
Okay, because some other universities don't have this, right? They allow for maximum. So here, pembelajaran teradun gantian, this is just a repeat again to emphasize. So main characteristics is that we can conduct online class, synchronous and asynchronously. And this is how we do the calculation. I think for you, maybe not really, if according to the, I forgot to actually put the national one. If according to the national one, for each of the bahan, aktiviti and penaksiran, there is a julat between 2 to 7, 4 to 7 if I'm not mistaken, as well as for aktiviti and penaksiran. Okay, this is an additional notes I just put in to supply to you some updates from the JPT in terms of pelaksanaan model pembelajaran anjal dan pengurangan tempoh pengajian. A few months ago, the JPT have started to make a survey at the university to identify which university wanted to provide a hybrid program. At that time, they used the term hybrid, but now they have changed to the term pembelajaran anjal. So in this initiative, the student does not need to be at the campus, and they are given flexibility to follow the program online for certain duration, and the university needs to give option to the student if they want to stay in campus, meaning it's not compulsory for them to come to the class. They can stay at the college. They are allowed to work. Compared to currently, everybody have to comply to the attendance rules, right? So this is another level up from the pembelajaran teradun gantian. The purpose that I show this is to tell you that it's possible that UMS will also expand the current implementation of pembelajaran teradun gantian towards pembelajaran anjal soon. The right side is showing the current moves by many programs to revise their duration to 3 years, as long as it does not violate their professional body and MQA, so they need to go for program revision. The purpose is to stay competitive in the current change of market by our students, because as we know in the news right now, the number of students who want to go into the university is becoming lesser. So to stay competitive, this is one innovation that we're taking. The purpose of the Anjal is to mengurangkan kos sara hidup, to allow the students to work while learning, because some students, due to the implication of COVID, have problem economically, and they require their children to help support the family. And the objectives are to increase inclusivity for education, to let the students to arrange their time, to manage their time while having to complete their study, and allowing flexibility. This hypothesis to try to mitigate kekurangan penginapan is still under argument. Many universities says that does not necessarily this Anjal can solve that problem. From the JPT, they provided two pilihan, student placement, learning instruction, learning model, and average number of credit hours by, as shown here, for the 3 years. And this is another model that they provide, so that in certain semesters, students will not have to come to the faculty at all. So for this part, there are several options. Either during student off campus, the course is delivered fully online, or hybrid, or pembelajaran teradun gantian, obviously, because it will be through the online. So hopefully you can see the connection between pembelajaran teradun gantian with that. If in the UMS you are going towards this, these are what needs to be done to semak the program academic, to conduct program TOT for the sistem pembelajaran anjal, dan menyemak semula beban pensyarah. At UPM, we are doing this right now to prepare for implementation of pembelajaran anjal bermula semester hadapan. These are the things that needs to be done if you are doing that. Okay, at UPM, we produce this senarai semak pelaksanaan to identify things to be done during planning, during implementation, and after implementation. I share here because I think having a senarai semak would be useful for the faculty as well as the pensyarah to know what they need to be doing and when. So here we emphasize that the SIM, Bahan Pembelajaran Kendiri, is prepared especially for kuliah maya tidak segerak, dan pensyarah menghadiri latihan. So CADe-LEAD usually give training, taklimat on how to prepare for PTG. During implementation, the lecturer can conduct the PTG and monitoring is done by the faculty, and CADe provides support through our systems management to see the number of content of cross elements that are being uploaded into our system. Before we go to SIM, I would like to invite if there is any question, anyone?
Is there any questions from the participants regarding the first part of the PTG? You may write in the chat box or just unmute your mic. Thank you.
Ada soalan. Rashid. Speak.
Yeah, please, Prof. Rashid.
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Fat. Thank you very much for the sharing. When you mentioned earlier on that 4 years to 3 years untuk UPM kan, do you consider yang amanat menteri di awal tahun tu yang there is intention by our menteri that all the pengajian yang 3,5-4 tahun revert back to 3 years. UPM dah apa tu take into consideration when you mention about 3 years just now.
Yes, we took that into consideration, and we could say that this is actually also top down. So consideration plus we see that it's logical for us to support. Yes, Prof.
Yeah, okay. Cuma just want to check lah. I don't know Prof Fong whether dari top down tu masih belum ada black and white kan so far. Just want to check with UPM lah kalau ada. Just want to learn from them.
May I know, Prof, when you say the black and white and top down specifically,
yeah, yang
you
arahan
mean
untuk
macam arahan ke?
yeah.
Arahan ke, is that what you mean? Indirectly for sistem pembelajaran ajar dan pemendekan, to me already arahan lah, because they already send. I'm not sure whether UMS punya TNC maybe choose not to take it or whatever, but for us, pada masa tu kan sebenarnya apa yang berlaku, we receive email for nominating two things, nominating program that want to consider hybrid and anjal, and also to identify program yang nak memendekkan. So I think rather than they say you need to do it, they ask who wants to do, but actually it has a very similar meaning.
Yeah, I think we did the same thing also, but what I was asking is whether ada apa-apa surat. Maybe Prof Fong ada extra information. Mute Prof.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you, Prof. Rashid, Dr. Nurfadhlina. In UMS, we don't have the black and white documents concerning this matter of 2U 1H, but we have already got a briefing by our present TNCAA, Professor Sharef. Professor Sharef has visited Pusat e-PEMBELAJARAN, and we are at the moment restructuring our stress, our human resource, our facilities will be further equipped aggressively within short time to get ready to implement 2U 1H. The 1H will definitely demand more digital content that are interactive. I think there's one that Dr. Nurfadhlina will be touching on concerning the SIM, the self-instructional materials that are going to be more interactive, not just PowerPoint being uploaded into our LMS. So we look forward to Dr. Nurfadhlina because her sharing has got everything to do with the support flexible education and 2U 1H. Prof. Rashid, this is at the moment our standing, and we are restructuring a PEP to support the realization of the 1H when the students are back home.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any more question?
Dr.
Please?
Nurfadhlina, you may proceed.
Yes, proceed. Yes, Prof, did you say proceed? Okay, I'll proceed.
Please
Sure.
proceed.
Okay, sure. I will provide in the WhatsApp, in the chat. See, WhatsApp all the time. Let me, wait I want to provide a link first in the chat. Okay. Link to the National PTG Guideline. Okay. Okay, you can access here to the national guideline and allow me to brief a bit here. Okay. So in this guideline, there is definisi operasi to tell 40, 40, 20. So 40 for bahan, 40 for activity and 20 for pentaksiran. So in this shift, we move from 732 to 40, 40, 20. So this 40 comes from penggunaan bahan. So 40% of the calculation needs to come from either it's rakaman video, audio and screen or any of this. So basically it's the materials in the form of video, in the form of slide, in the form of text, and the video does not necessarily have to be yours. So this is also an important thing for me to highlight. Besides the bahan pembelajaran, as explained, muted by Prof. Fong just now, the emphasis of pembelajaran teradu gantian and the flexible education is towards interactive learning. Interactive learning that happens online with design. So for this, we use the applications such as Kahoot, Padlet, and also WhatsApp event. And the LMS, you have the forum application for us to create, and we encourage the students to use these platforms for them to conduct active learning activities rather than, because some people, they create forum but actually the forum is ghosted. It's just for the purpose of KPI. But hopefully we can learn about how to create forum, and there are many purposes of forums. Either we create forum for the purpose of internet scavenger. We ask the student to search for online materials. They provide the URL in the forum and provide their summary of what they understand based on the URL. You can also use forum to let the students to debate among each other regarding certain topics, and typically by encouraging them to provide the references will also guide them to how we can communicate in the digital world, not necessarily just in informal setting or when we are face to face. So this is the objective and mission that we want to achieve by doing active learning through this 40% in PTG. For the pentaksiran, 20% of implementation is through quiz, assignment or assessment, reflection or anything, and you can use elements in your Moodle system to do it. So these are just example of applications that we can use. You can either use Google Drive for the students to upload their materials. Before I go to SIM, I realized that I think it's good for us to show this so you properly understand about the SLT that we mentioned just now. In the guideline, it provides several simulations with various percentage of PTG implementation. In the book, it first started with the PTG of 30%. So out of the SLT of 120 hours, if it is 3-hour credit course, this counts to 36 hours. So that means in that course, 36 hours online learning needs to be created. And this goes back to the items that you need to provide online. So for example, this out of that 120, we provide 36 as online, 84 as face-to-face. So, for online, we upload the bahan pembelajaran, aktiviti and pentaksiran. For face-to-face, we conduct syarahan, tutorial, and we focus mostly on psychomotor and affective. The jadual 4 in the panduan and on my right side provides example of how we can identify the number of materials needed. So because the 40-40-20 here, so you calculate back 40% out of 36 is 14 hours. So out of these 14 hours, you identify which week you want to do for online, and you identify the number of materials and number of week for you to do that, and what is the total of learning hours based on this design. In the garis panduan, there are several more examples provided here with different julat, as well as more example with different PTG punya peratus lah. But I trust the PTG punya peratus is actually depending on the university's permission on how many percentage and how many weeks you are allowed to do online. I'm ready now to start with the SIM. Okay, this was from just now. Okay, for us to do SIM, we need to firstly identify what are the digital materials that we can use. InsyaAllah saya kongsikan. What are the digital materials that can be used for kandungan, aktiviti and penaksiran, and these are the examples. And from this, you identify further how many hours and how many materials are needed for that. Let us look at how the PTG segera and PTG tidak segera, or actually kuliah segera and kuliah tidak segera boleh dilaksanakan. So kuliah maya segera actually berlaku in real time. Everybody attend together. For asynchronous, pelajar belajar secara kendiri. So this is done by the student using the materials and conducting activities that have been instructed by the lecturer. So it is very important for us to know that pembelajaran secara kendiri, pembelajaran tidak sekerak must be done with purpose, by design. Lecturer have to already identify during certain weeks, I wouldn't see you, but you have to complete this task, and this is how, this is the step. You can do it personally, or you can do it in groups, and you need to submit, and you know that you have achieved certain things after you have achieved this. So all of this needs to be provided for the students still to be guided despite they learn on their own. So hopefully this is clear. Regarding the face-to-face versus online course, it is different because for online course, you can, the duration of teaching actually should not be the same of face-to-face. For example, 10 minutes of video is equated to 1 hour of learning face-to-face, because when we are in our class, 1 hour that we spend is actually because of our time to load the system, for us to walk around, to look at our students, to listen and respond to them, to click through the slide, to explain. While for video that we prepare, or materials, reading materials that we prepare, we have to consider students at their own learning pace, because there is no one to explain to them. They need to have more effort to be able to go through, forward, rewind the video, to go back to the notes, to check the notes, kan? So hopefully this is taken care, because there were many cases during COVID, because lecturer think that when I face to face, I have to teach 2 hours, so they spend the webinar for the whole 2 hours. So this have resulted to burnout. So that is why for pembelajaran tidak segera and pembelajaran segera during online, it must be by design. We need to take account into the students' abilities, the students' background, with their internet access, kan? So all of this needs to be accounted for. Similarly, when we design for their activity and for their penaksiran, we have to consider the extra time for them to complete their work, to upload their work, to find materials, whether they have to use so much of their credit nanti with the airtime and whatever. So this needs to be taken care as well. In this slide, I share with you student learning time comparison between SLT bersemuka, SLT dalam talian and SLT kendiri. So for this, we identify based on the type of activities, whether it is interaction online synchronously. Kalau synchronously, 60 minutes that we do face-to-face and dalam talian. Kalau we convert this, we replace this activity with SLT kendiri, there is possibility it's actually double, because we have to consider that there are many kinds of students. This 60 minutes here is the maximum expectation. Some students, of course, there are some students who are faster than the others, but here we estimate based on the maximum or if I can crudely say, based on the worst case, students who had difficulties. So many kinds of inclusivity needs to be considered. For interaksi atas talian secara tidak segerak, for the students to watch the video, either you record it using screencast or you take other people's video and you upload it. Kalau face to face 1 hour, 10 minutes tu enough for SLT dalam talian. For kendiri ni 20 minutes, because we consider double the time for them with their productive struggle, for their effort kan. Even right now, student kan suka belajar pakai ChatGPT kan. So we need to consider, although to them, they type sekejap, tak sampai 1 minute, the answer is generated. But this is where we need to design activities such that when you give an activity or any instruction to them, you need to also provide some guide, and you need to design a way for you to counter back later on when you face to face or by doing some assessment to measure their attainment. Dapat ke tak dapat? Betul ke apa yang ajar tadi tu? Or the activity that they conducted, betul dia yang buat ke AI yang buat? Because we don't want the AI to replace the student. So all of this needs to be designed, and as a student, as a lecturer, we need to provide feedback to them. We need to be able to anticipate what are the possible violation, as well as the possible grades and possible achievements of our students, because it is our job to scaffold them from time to time. So all of this you can see, I'll share the slides later, don't worry. This is to share, this is how it looks like from our SMP, our sistem maklumat pelajar. We have this system where we create our teaching plan. So in e-PM, this is how it looks like lah. We have minggu pembelajaran, for example, the 4th week, we have to put the topic in BM, in English. But what I want to highlight here is that in the system, this is where we need to say, in this week, we want to do this approach, and this is how long it is, and give catatan and give penilaian. I imagine in UMS, there are other methods, but why I show this slide despite it is system in UPM, this is to show because to implement PTG, there are many kinds of perspectives. Some people does not believe in it. Some people worry of the unknown. Some people want to do it, but not allowed. So for us to have a proper governance, we need to be able to communicate to the students and also to get approval from the program governance unit at the and the KJ, to let the KJ know, oh, for this week, this is what we are going to do, and this is how it's going to be delivered. So this will serve as a contract between the lecturer and also the student. And this is how it looks like when you further identify which one is online, which one is face-to-face, and which week, what you want to do. Because it's possible in 1 week, if you have 3 hours, 2 hours you do face-to-face, 1 hour you do online, also possible. So in the system or whatever, whether yours is pakai jadual ke for you to write out or pakai sistem. It's very important to be well designed for us to think. Of course, there are some emergencies kan. Sometimes yang kita target to do online dekat week 2, rupanya dekat week 3 pula because week 2 tak habis. So this one, I think most importantly at the faculty lah. So kita, pengalaman kita di UPM, kita pun actually tak adalah pergi tunggu tu or tunggu dekat Google Meet link tu whether lecturer masuk ke tak masuk. That's not our job. So it's back to the integrity, but all of this needs to be documented as our practice. Okay, this is to show jam pembelajaran bersemuka can be kosong. Can be kosong, and if you saw my explanation earlier, sometimes kita boleh buat jam pembelajaran bersemuka tu only a portion of that week will be done online, and that is considered as PTG. Alright, so after, imagine after you know certain weeks that you are going to do it, so then you can prepare. So this is at the preparation and moving towards reka bentuk punya stage kan. Okay, so let me introduce to you about SIM. In long, it is self-instructional materials. This is an educational tool or approach to let the students to learn at their own pace, independently, and of course it's for study because they're self-instructional, the term. Okay. Typically, it include various components such as text, illustration, videos, quizzes. Sebenarnya, yang slide biasa kita buat tu can be converted to SIM. How sometimes kan, bila kita pergi face to face dengan our student, kita punya slide tu kalau incomplete pun it's okay. Because we are there. We know, okay, in this slide, in this picture, this is what it tells. Oh, tak cukup. Now I give you some link pula. You buka pula website. Okay, here it tells whatever. So you just imagine what you do as if you are meeting them needs to be in a tangible digital format for you to upload and give to the students to provide them a clear and comprehensive content because you're not meeting them. So that is why maybe you'll come to the conclusion and you just say that, oh, kalau macam tu better buat synchronous. But if you properly think about it, actually coming out with SIM for asynchronous lesson, it is an investment. Because sometimes student nowadays, dia suka belajar sendiri, satu. And even if you do face-to-face or even if you do synchronous online, having the SIM would support the students because the students have things that is complete. And kalau ada yang rajin, pensyarah-pensyarah yang rajin, if you have complete materials, bolehlah rajin buat buku, you boleh buat micro credentials, you boleh buat MOOC. So those will benefit you also insyaAllah. Okay, after you have prepared the materials, you upload it. And ini pun important characteristics. Provide instructions on how the students can benefit from each materials. Pengalaman kita, sometimes the lecturer use the system just to upload materials tapi tak tulis apa-apa. So a step up, hopefully you can at least write, refer to this slide about blah 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 blah, then you akan by the end of it you ni, as if when you are there facing the students physically and giving them advices. So this to be done for SIM. For activities, you provide exercise problems and provide example answers, and you can use also applications such as PTG, Kahoot, kalau pakai Mentimeter pun boleh, pakai Poplet pun boleh, ThinkLink, as activities besides using forum. For assessment, it can also be in the form of self-reflection, bagi task dekat student, for a student to complete and for them to upload. Assessment ni tak semestinya semua bagi markah kan. Some assessment is of their learning, some assessment is for their learning. So you can mix between assessment of learning and assessment for learning so that the lesson will be a well designated one. And ini pun penting. Kalau kita face to face dengan student, kan kita kata at the end, okay, thank you. So next I will see you wherever, when, and next we want to do whatever. So this also you need to write in sentence. Letak dekat dalam the system. Kalau tak nak write, you buatlah short recording of you telling that and provide it in the system, so akan jadi playlist lah for the student to watch. This slide tells the activities, elements for each of the element categories, whether it's the bahan or it's the activity or it's the penaksiran. So ini ada dalam dalam Moodle masing-masing. So penerangan dia earlier I have shown, but this is having more list. Kalau kita buat video ni, there are many kinds of video besides the screencasting. You can also provide interactive materials. You can also provide video dekat lab. Pergi dekat lab, you do demo, kan? Boleh provide. And then you can even give your slide pembentangan and infographic. So your slide tu make it complete and you can upload that. That is also considered as SIM. For aktiviti segerak dan tidak segerak, this one I dah banyak ulang, and also penaksiran. So I think this is okay. Alright. So to know whether you have completed self-instructional materials criteria or not, you can consider this. Whether it has self-learning criteria, whether it meets self-explanatory, self-contained ke tidak, self-motivating ke tidak, self-directed ke, self-evaluating ke. So all of these principles or this criteria assures that your student able to learn at their own pace with SIM. Dekat dalam sistem pula, you can decorate it this way or you can upload it this way. This is an example from my course. I teach algorithm design and analysis. So for example, week, ni pun one thing juga. So tell them at week 8, this is the title in this chapter. What you can do, so how to write kan. So tadi saya kata kena bagi instruction. So sometimes tak ada idea macam mana letak instruction. So we can use this. Kan dekat dalam Moodle tu, when you add section, you can right click, edit setting. So edit setting, write this. You write the learning outcome. Then katakan you nak upload file. Upload file, you click je add activity file. So you bolehlah upload your slide. Tapi provide explanation. This is how I write the explanation. So I motivate them. Go through the slides on the steps for computing the optimal solution. Then run the code. Cakap dia, lepas you buat ni, you kena buat ni. Lepas you buat ni, lepas tu you dah dapat tu, maksudnya you dah tick lah, you dah complete lah semua. Because in the platform, there is this activity completion setting. Tapi activity completion setting ni, actually as long as the student click, nanti dia jadi tick. Tapi activity completion setting does not ensure that the student really guided to provide and to conduct all the learning activities they are expected to do. So here dekat dalam platform tu, we can also embed. Kita boleh embed the video. So then you provide it to let them know. Lepas dah buat ni, you begin lab activity by watching the following video. So this is also a way for us to do flip classroom. So you know now PTG, by doing online classroom, you can treat it as preparation for flip classroom. Okay, for asynchronous pula, we can use forum. This is an example. Check out this link everyone for a self exercise to assess your understanding. So this link ni, I selalu pakai Google. So Google tu I dah prepare siap with questions and whatever, and I give that a public link to the student untuk they can access, and then I instructed them to write their answers in the forum, this discussion, and then discuss how your and your friends' answers are different from yours. So diorang kena buat lah this one. For forum, the activity completion, there is option to check whether the student reply ke tak kepada orang lain. So having these tools allow us as instructor to follow up and to see siapa yang tak buat kerja lagi. So we can do that lah. You can also consider teaching techniques like FILA. So this FILA is problem-based learning approach for us to dissect the questions and the problems into two steps. This is another example. Similarly, you can provide description of the topic. Kalau you ada infographic, you boleh tapet je. You can paste it in the setting, or you can upload as embed, as label, And this is just explanation that you can do forum to encourage critical thinking. You can also upload URL of other courses or other materials online to be done, and you can also use H5P in your Moodle to make it interactive learning. Okay, so pengalaman saya juga kadang-kadang kita kering idea, we don't know how to write kan. So boleh pakai ChatGPT untuk generatekan the script or the instruction, but I provide examples here also. For example, take a look at the video explaining the concept of, so this is a template for you to replace, and don't forget to take your notes. So this way, the student feel as if you are talking to them. So one of the criteria also to have a good self-motivational approach is to talk as if you are there with the students. So this informal communication would let the student be more inclined and persuaded to complete the learning task despite them learning on their own. So kena effort pensyarah lah, lagi pandai nak trigger and pandai nak connect dengan student tu. Okay, so you can consider this arahan and penerangan bagi bahan pembelajaran. Okay, checklist. Checklist dekat dalam sistem boleh tengok either you dah masukkan tak educated and contact information, module title, learning outcome, outline dah letak ke, whether you have prepared the module comprising the learning materials, activity and assessment, and make sure they align with the learning outcome. You need to also provide the module description and learning instruction, labelkan diagram. I will show you example how to do this. And encourage them to do reflection by you conducting and designing activities for reflection. Provide summary and conclusion either in the page of the Moodle system or in your slide pun boleh, dalam video pun boleh. Nak upload satu paper, satu text file, word file for summary pun boleh. So it's very flexible and make sure that everything is organized. This is an example of steps for diagrams that you can do. So put explanation and things like this. This is from one of my slides. So this is to show the step by step for the student to know. Okay, step 1 you do this, step 2. So kalau dia nak belajar sendiri, dia know what to do. So tak adalah lost kan. So why I show this to tell you does not necessarily kena buat video. So because ramai orang dia rasa nak buat video tu berat. So kalau buat video, of course lagi senang. You boleh record yourself and demonstrate the step by step kan. Tapi sometimes some people they prefer more for one page macam ni, dia tak nak depan belakang. So this also we need to consider. Okay, just another example also to go the step by step like this. And now I'm ready for the next part. Any question regarding SIM?
Dr.
Any
Nurfadhlina.
Please switch on your mic. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Nurfadhlina. Yeah, concerning SIM in your place, your PM, is it being produced by the lecturers themselves, or do you also have a support team, technical team to support them?
Okay Prof, ini memang selalulah ada expectation for the center to do it. So our approach, kita try to take several strategies ya. Dekat center right now kita ada 4 people that can support design. Ada 4 people. Tapi dekat peringkat universiti we have tubuhkan jawatankuasa jurulatih SIM. So jawatankuasa jurulatih SIM ni we have about 30 something. And this jurulatih SIM will be the talent pool untuk ODL. So ODL punya program, they get training, they use this people. On top of that, we also ada jawatankuasa inovasi pengajaran dan pembelajaran. So this jawatankuasa pun they go through training for SIM. So why I'm highlighting this first is to tell that dekat peringkat fakulti, without having kalau kat dekat fakulti tak ada staff that can do design. Kat fakulti ada staff boleh buat design, tapi not necessary for instructional design. Kan? Sebab nak teach ni dia ada template dia. Kita kena ada tajuk, lepas tu ada learning outcome, and then kita lain lah. Walaupun video dia orang buat tu menarik, tapi tak semestinya with pedagogy kan. Pedagogy ni lagi tinggi lah kalau kita nak cakap kan. Engaging lah, nak hook lah, macam-macam lah. What we try to do is we also conduct open training for lecturers to attend. So yang ni biasanya dekat CADe, timbalan pengarah ataupun speakers yang bagi training. So they learn, and dekat fakulti boleh panggil jurulatih ni juga. So in short, sebenarnya pensyarah buat sendiri tapi with guided. So masa kita mula-mula buat PTG dulu in 2019, pada masa tu kita tak buat SIM lagi. SIM for PTG kita baru start semester lepas ke semester ni? Semester lepas. And sebab kita nampak the trend, kita memang akan go towards ODL. Kita akan memang go towards Anjal ni. Sebab dan kita identify dulu kita buat MOOC dengan micro credential, kenapa tak dapat nak buat cepat? Kenapa universiti lain buat cepat? So sebenarnya kita identify sebab pensyarah dia reluctant to share the materials with us. Sebab materials dia bukan SIM. Materials dia jadi huge effort untuk dia nak tukarkan dan nak replenish banyak benda. Tapi kan pengalaman saya kan, sebenarnya saya sekarang sebab dah pakai ChatGPT, senang tau sebenarnya kita nak create. Saya boleh tunjukkan satu magic sekejap Ini kisah benar. Kisah benar. Ini sebab saya kemudian bagi training on SIM, I tell them that sebenarnya kita boleh buat buku ni pakai ChatGPT. Tetapi of course lah kita kena tahu material kita. For example, buat maklumat semua saya memang tak malu lah nak cerita. So how I did this? First cari Google Slide punya template. Okay, cari Google Slide punya template, you nak buat apa, buku ke apa. Lepas tu you buatlah dekor-dekor ni. Dekor-dekor ni saya suka lah. Lepas tu you have to have an idea lah. Dalam course ni you nak ajar apa. Saya ada satu micro credentials course about artificial intelligence for educators. Nanti saya kongsikan kejap lagi. Link tu it's free. Please be invited to join it. So in this book, sebab material saya sebelum ni ada dalam bentuk slide. So daripada slide tu kita tak bercakap slide. Sebab bila pensyarah ni kita nak face to face kan, baru kita rasa macam inspired lah nak cakap ni. Sebab kita nampak orang kan. Dan sometimes masalah kita nak buat ayat tu tak dapat nak buat ayat cantik. Betul tak? So tak dapat nak buat ayat cantik, kita boleh lah pakai ChatGPT, kita prompt dia. So dia dapatlah buat ayat cantik ni. So kita menentukan ini ke betul ke ayat ni, sesuai ke tak sesuai, boleh masuk ke tak boleh masuk. So all of this, before this for example, ini dah memang ada dalam slide saya. Tapi saya boleh olah semula. Dan bila student tengok ni, memang senang. So I invest in this. So kalau you tengok, ini memang daripada slide saya. So ambil daripada slide. So kita boleh relate-kan. So hopefully akan ada banyaklah bahan dah boleh membantu. Dan sebenarnya when we do this kan, kita pun belajar balik. So hopefully this can inspire you also. Use lah ChatGPT sebab sometimes kita pun nak tengok, nak buka web page banyak-banyak pun kadang tak sempat kan. So kita boleh, kita improve juga. Dan most importantly, kita tahu kalau kita bagi soalan ni, kita buat aktiviti ni, kita tak nak student tu be replaced by AI kan. Sebab itulah kena ada productive struggle. So dalam contoh pelaksanaan nanti saya akan tunjukkan macam mana kita boleh design untuk productive struggle. Kalau ada masa saya akan relate sikit. Saya ada banyak bagi talk on AI for teaching and learning. So kita akan relate. And saya dah observe tanya kat student. For example kan, sebab saya yang saya ngajar ni, tajuk dia, course dia Algorithm Analysis and Design. Tapi saya tengok student dalam kelas, memang saya encourage lah diorang. Dalam course saya, you kena bawa lah laptop sebab kita tak ada lab. Course ni baru-baru ni tak ada lab. Sebelum ni ada lab. So saya kata nanti saya tak nampak you all tu buat coding. Bawa lah laptop. So bila saya bagi dia arahan apa-apa kan, kalau dulu student memang berpeluh lah nak buat coding. Jadi yang ni diorang pakai ChatGPT, dah generate coding. Saya kata, boy banyak cantiknya. Wow. And then from time to time kan, I pun tengok, I pun observe diorang buat ni macam mana. And lagilah bila I buat kelas online, lagilah I worry. korang ni bagi aktiviti lagilah Tata dia tak buat kan. So I found out a trick actually how to know that diorang tu betul-betul nampak ke tak nampak. So caranya, lepas kita bagi aktiviti tu, kita kena ada satu presentation. So masa presentation tu, kita kena tanya soalan balik yang macam itu yang kita bagi tu. Lepas tu I tak cakap dengan diorang, see, saya tanya soalan yang konten dia ada dekat you punya slide tu tau. You tak boleh jawab ni. Sebab you copy paste je. What does that mean? Sedap lah smash. So yang smash ni membuatkan diorang sedar. Tapi I also ask them, when you do this activity, actually apa ya you punya proses? So this one baru kan, I think this time I really enjoy sebab lagi banyak soalan kita boleh tanya kat student. Baru kita rasa macam close to them to understand how they learn. And then baru cakap dengan diorang, now that you have this, sebenarnya you buat macam ni kan, the effect dia jadi macam ni. So I ubah soalan I. So I ubah soalan and I prepared template and tell them that you pakai ni, tapi you pastikan semua orang boleh. Saya teruslah share, cakap-cakap dekat tak nampak pula. Sekejap can see my screen. I think last time okay. I recently gave a talk to UMK. Dalam tu I share about this. Sekejap ya. Dan kebetulan hari ni pukul 12 ada TV3 nak interview. Sebab perkara yang sama. Dia kata soalan dia adalah, would there be any effect or would learning coding still relevant because sekarang dah ada low code, no code AI. So dia kata, oh memang sesuai sangat lah. Mari saya cerita, dia kata. Okay. This one this is the original. Sebelum saya tanya soalan tu, saya dah bagi last slide kan. So dalam kelas saya buatlah memory recall activity. Kalau memory recall activity, kalau student tak boleh cakap GPT, dia memang lambat sikit sebab dia kena fikir kan. Okay, so itu observation pertama. Observation kedua, bila saya bagi this instruction to them, choose two sorting algo, provide explanation on them, find the algo, test it. Kira susah lah ni kan. Kalau face to face dulu memang susah lah student nak find algo. Dia kena buka web banyak-banyak, dia kena execute pula. Lepas tu kalau ada error, debug, kena betulkan pula. Lepas tu kena test, find an answer. So I did this in pairs. And then I gave them Google Slides for them to provide the answer. So I nampak, semula saya ingat macam happy lah. Sebab banyak ni student boleh letak ni, mungkin dia faham ni, mungkin dia faham. Okay, lepas tu masa presentation, I ask the student, macam mana you buat ni? Kata, okay lah doktor bagi pakai ChatGPT. Pasal ada juga dia orang mix, okay. Tapi dia orang kata juga soalan tu sebenarnya susah. Okay, so saya macam, okay, soalan tu susah. So dia kata dia kena use the ChatGPT a few times untuk dapatkan answer. Okay, so kata okay, bagus. Lepas tu I nak ensure whether they have a deep understanding or not. And then I realise actually masa dia present tu, dia tak boleh jawab soalan yang saya tanya dekat dia, padahal ayat tu ada dalam slide dia. So ini macam jeng something wrong. Sebenarnya apa I did wrong? So I wanted to learn also. Then I analyse balik soalan I. Ni yang kata kita pun belajar dengan diri kita sendiri. Baru tengok provide explanation on them. Kalau zaman ChatGPT sekarang ni, kalau kita kata provide explanation ni, sedap sangat student. Dia ambil je, dia letak. Tak sampai 1 minit. So this is not good ya. Kawan-kawan pensyarah sekalian, dah tak boleh dah tanya soalan macam ni. Open ended ni tak boleh. Lepas tu find algo, test the coding. Okay, so this one dia bolehlah generate, dan this is higher order thinking. So this one prepare two examples of sequences, identify performances. This one higher order thinking activity. Actually usually students have a cold feet, susah nak buat, struggle when they code, but ChatGPT provides the code right away. Tapi actually because dia provide the code right away, students skip the learning process. Sebab student actually tak faham. And then students, they confine their discovery only on the assigned task. Sebab saya cakap, okay, one person do this, one person do this. Lepas tu dia buat yang tu je. Dia tak belajar pula rupanya. Dia malas. Malas lah kiranya. Student tu malas. Masa presentation, they try to explain what they understood, but very shallow. They can't even give their observation. Sebab bila pakai ChatGPT, terus dapat answer, dia ingat dia dah siap kerja. Kalau pakai web, dia kena search, dia kena sambil-sambil dia tengok banyak, dia tengok dan filtering about the resources, they somehow adalah absorb sikit sana sini kan. So saya trigger lagi to ensure betul ke tak betul dia dapat tu. I provided a mind map. So this mind map, I ask them, okay, yang tadi you buat tu, now tell me, let us produce this mind map. So this example, sebab yang ni masa dia complete ni, saya buat 2 plus 1, ada 1 plus 2 kot, 1 plus 2 sebab saya kena pergi outstation that time. So for 2 hours they do this, tapi dia tak dapat. So I tak nak membazir 2 hours yang sepatutnya belajar, tak belajar betul. So I did this activity face to face with them. I ask them to recall. So apa yang you ingat you dah belajar ni 2 minggu ni? Sebab maybe juga because baru 2 minggu, pemahaman dia orang tak deep, could be. But I tak kisahlah kan. I kata you kenalah ingat apa you dah belajar hari tu. So they cakap-cakap, saya pun dia orang pun tulis. So dapatlah ni. Lepas tu saya buat another round. So this time I changed the question I had earlier and I made a template for them. So I say you fill up this, you go to the algo, you show and demonstrate. Okay, you boleh pakai prompt ni, boleh pakai, tapi you kena show the steps. Lepas tu you need to find answer, discuss. Lepas tu be prepared to share your observation. Present lagi sekali. So this time when I prepare this, bagusnya the students, mereka yang keluarkan sendiri these highlights and also basic criteria, steps and number of steps. This criteria dikeluarkan sendiri oleh student setelah kita push dan setelah kita scaffold. So this is the importance for us to conduct this activity. So dekat dalam ni bukan kata SIM tu. So sekarang kita tahu SIM tu we can exploit online materials, but we need to provide it with steps, with proper instruction, and after that we need to scaffold to make sure that students tu dapatlah apa yang sepatutnya dia dapat. Okey ke? Ada soalan? Bergaya saya ni.
Doktor, ada satu soalan.
Salam. Ya.
Berkenaan dengan materials tadi tu kan. One of your slide just now, you mentioned about uploading materials. Contohnya macam videos kan. Like 10 minutes equivalent to 1 SLT. Itu ada dalam PTG punya guideline ke? Sebab bila saya go through PTG guideline tu, dia hanya mention by item saja. Contohnya 4 items equivalent to 1 hour. So mungkin boleh Dr. explain on that?
Yang formula tu dia tak letak dalam guideline tu kan? So that's why Doktor, di UPM, because kita dah buat banyak semester, kita find out orang akan tanya benda tu. Masa kita buat first round di UPM tu pun kita adalah, tapi tak that comprehensive. So that figure I dapat dengan buka balik dalam depan dasar e-PEMBELAJARAN sebenarnya ada. So daripada situ I structurekan balik jadi jadual. Lepas tu ada lah some references, so bolehlah pakai. Tetapi itu sebenarnya adalah estimation. For example kan, kita actually boleh argue 10 minit video zaman dulu dengan 10 minit video zaman sekarang tak sama. Tak sama kan? Boleh. So itulah akhirnya kembali kepada kita lah sebagai pensyarah. So we cannot be replaced by all those teknologi semua kan.
Ya, sebab kita pun pelik juga sebab bila kita buat video, contohnya kita record video, probably dalam sejam macam tu kan. So takkan sejam tu equivalent to, adakah sejam itu equivalent to 1 hour of SLT ataupun 10 minit ke 15 minit ke, because tak ada clear guidelines on that on the PTG punya guide. So since Dr. Bun buat 10 minutes, mungkin kita boleh gunakan itu sebagai benchmark lah untuk awal lah untuk kita setkan SLT.
Tapi 10 minutes di situ bukan 10 minutes kita screen recording tau. So itulah kata jenis video. Kalau screencast kita selalu, kalau persyarakan kita screencast, we go through our slide tu kan. Tak sama dengan 10 minit yang dinyatakan di situ adalah video yang rich, very rich video. Dan ada animation. Animation ni pun ada banyak jenis animation. Video yang 10 minit, kalau yang kita design tanpa kita bercakap dan dia complete, sebab bila kita mengajar, kita buat slide ni, sometimes kan some slide tu kita memang rendahkan. So kita go step by step kan. Mula yang rendah dulu, lepas tu yang tinggi. So yang 10 minutes tu yang memang dah compress tu. Gitu Dr.
Okay, Doctor, thank you.
Thank you. So it's just estimation. Tetapi in the basic guideline, janganlah kalau 2 jam pembelajaran tu kita cakap sorang-sorang pula 2 jam. Itulah, kesian kat student pun tak masuk dah nanti dalam otak dia. Sila,
Dr.
ada
Nur.
soalan lagi?
Yeah.
Yes,
So
Prof.
still along your SIM, so we assume that from your sharing, a majority of UPM lecturers are now developing high quality SIM. And in that matter, what kind of mechanism you have for quality control? Thank you.
Lemak. Saya ni segan lah. Tak berani dah nak cakap UPM producing quality. Tak berani lah Prof nak kata begitu. Tetapi yang saya boleh kongsikan, because we are currently going for ada 12 program yang terlibat dengan akreditasi penuh untuk ODL. Jadi syarat untuk akreditasi penuh ODL ni mewajibkan semua kursus, especially yang terlibat dengan 60% online itu dilaksanakan dalam bentuk SIM. So we have about 200 over courses lah. And from these 200 over courses, good chunk of them adalah kursus MPU. So secara tak langsung kursus MPU kita semua dah memang wajib lah menjadi SIM. And because of Anjal kan, jadual lain-lain. So fakulti memerlukan kursus MPU mesti ada dalam bentuk MOOC dan mesti dah ada SIM-nya. So we try to be coordinated lah Prof. Tapi dari segi jaminan kualiti, kita tidaklah menyemak dan mengatakan you tak ke whatever. We produce self-check punya guide. Sebenarnya kita ada buat buku panduan SIM. Sekejap saya cari dia punya link. Maybe you can refer to that. Tapi dari segi penilaian whether dia berkualiti ke tak berkualiti, itu under CQA lah, our Center for Quality Assurance. Dekat CADe kita tidak buat yang tu lagi Prof buat masa ni.
Thank you, Dr. Nurfadhlina. And you don't mind to share the links to us so that our academic staff can also refer. Thank you.
Okay, sure. I'm finding it now.
Okay.
Credentials. Okay. Okay, I provided the link, Prof. Saya teruskan ya. Cik Amin boleh?
Ya, silakan teruskan Dr. Fadhlina.
Okay, let's go. So, please be welcome to go through the book. Okay. Seterusnya adalah contoh pelaksanaan macam mana yang kita boleh laksanakan. Welcome Sylvia. Okay, we'll start with this. Ni sajalah kita nak tunjuk dekat UPM. Sebenarnya tak adalah banyak pun bilik macam ni. Tapi kita adalah beberapa bilik yang digunakan sebagai our benchmark. Because untuk buat online ni, dia ada banyak grading. Ada yang memang kena full blown lah. Macam ni untuk hybrid class, also online class. But we can go as economy as having only your laptop with a camera, ada speaker, good mic, and you record it, and most importantly perlu tahu apakah software yang berkaitan. Tapi ini saya tunjukkan in case that dekat fakulti pun maybe can consider to invest having all this. So ni argument pasal duit lah ni nanti kan, macam mana to prepare the infrastructure. Okay, preparing students for hybrid learning and also for online learning. We need to explain rationale to them to do it online ni. So kat sini hybrid/online lah ya. To orientate, ini I got from this Cornell University. To orientate, provide orientation to the technology required. So tell them for the online, adakah you akan pakai Moodle saja or you will use some other software as well. start with a low stakes assignment kalau buat online. Tapi saya rasa because of COVID, kita sekarang ni tak ada masalah sangat lah. Student dah biasa how to use the system and how to submit. Assignment nak buat online tu tak adalah berapa susah sebab diorang dah tahu manage themselves and provide the time management strategies. Suggest to them, student ni walaupun you belajar online sendiri at certain time, you need to have your own learning plan. Kena complete lah. So student ni perlu dinasihatkan lah. So the purpose of me showing this slide is to re-emphasize importance of human educator for the students. And then explain also bila you buat online tu how you will be assessed. Macam mana nak tahu you dah attain what you need to attain in the learning outcome. And then you provide the structure. Let's say ask the students, in my example earlier, ask the students first go through this and then you go to whatever you do. That is why the scene is really important. Instructor pula punya tugas, assure students have equal attention. Ni untuk hybrid ya. Kalau dia online dengan face to face, assure that you give equal attention. You need to also analyze student engagement, tengok track report learning completion tu. And then ni tak ada kaitan lah sangat kalau tak buat hybrid. Use gestures dekat online when you record, allow interactions in various modality. So because you couldn't see them personally, allow them to interact with you in the webinar macam hari ni, telecast, and also in the WhatsApp, allow them to communicate with you. Provide mentoring, provide praises, and engage with all students. When we give delivery, ada banyak model kita boleh gunakan. CADe-LEAD is one of the best. Ini adalah untuk show the steps ya. Number one, gain attention. So imagine when you want to design your sim, gain attention. Kalau kita face to face, sometimes kita letak satu figure. This figure is supposed to trigger them. So do that as well. Then inform the learner of the objective. Dalam slide tu pula ada maklumat ni. Stimulatekan recall of prior information. Then baru you present the information. Bukanlah hanya straightforward sahaja. Terus kepada dalam slide ni ada apa tantang. So this you cannot motivate them properly. Then you provide guidance to them. Kalau online, either synchronous or asynchronous, you need to also encourage them and guide them to be able to elicit their performance, to do things step by step with the instructional events, to provide feedback, to assess performance and do something that you can enhance their retention. Di e-PEM kita ada keluarkan panduan untuk penggunaan ChatGPT because we think this is another disruption. We should be prepared for what's next on the horizon and focus on allow the students to do and to use it. But as instructor, we need to change in terms of doing different type of assessment, doing more collaborative activities for the student to present, for example, let them to discuss among them, and we need to engage more with them. ChatGPT boleh digunakan for many tasks as shown here. I rasa dah banyaklah juga ChatGPT punya talk around, and MQA pun dah keluarkan panduannya, advisory note how to use ChatGPT. So for CADe-LEAD ni instructional design kan, sebenarnya instructional designer perspektif dengan learner perspektif is different. Sebab sometimes when we tell the student this is the objective kan, the student actually they want to know why, but kita punya learning outcome memanglah dikata because to be able to identify blah blah blah, but sometimes that word is very dry. So this is where having the video where you can speak informally, then try to persuade them to make sure that the students know why they are here, having to go through the learning materials online, and you provide also a context. So simulate recall of prior learning. So nanti you boleh relate dalam chapter sebelumnya, minggu lepas kita dah buat apa. So what are the current context, current issue, so can relate to this. Then you present the content, so the students will know that those are what they need to know. So keep on encouraging them. So now kita tunjuk ni because blah blah blah. So if you can relate blah blah blah, not just you read blindly going through the slide. And if you think this is also how we can change from the screencast that we do to be a video that have several modalities. Some part of the video kita boleh letak animation with cartoon ke animation, then some part with us explaining. So this way the students will have a more modality untuk dia learn. Then performance need to be elicited and then provide feedback to the students. That is gap ni. Example flow. When we do online, sebenarnya kita kena banyak break. Kita kena buat content. Ni hari ni pun saya asyik lupa lah nak ambil break. Content, lepas tu kena buat aktiviti, lepas tu break, and then feedback. So if you see, this is chunking the content into micro lesson. So by you chunking, you can diagnose their understanding, and if needed, you can do scaffolding. For engaging hybrid learning or online learning activities, consider using apps like Jamboard. Maybe you can do activity techniques such as think, pair, share. So give a context to the student, then ask them to pair and ask them to share. So this is an example how you can do activity in the forum. Then do presentation. So presentation can be online or can be hybrid, can be face to face. And then also in the Zoom, you can use the annotate function. You can do also online poll nowadays and internet scavenger hunt. How to use webinars effectively? This one rasa ramai yang dah tahu. Boleh pakai breakout room, boleh pakai whiteboard function. Nak design activity tu, we need to utilize active learning techniques such as composing quick writing responses, working in pairs. So memang penting lah untuk fokus kepada collaborative activities. And remember to consider the time to complete it. Kalau kita nak buat assessment pula, there are for the same question kan, kalau tengok contohnya global warming, we can change it into several level of question challenge. For example, kalau applying ni, what will happen if global temperatures continue to rise? For analysing, how can? So kalau analyse, how? Kalau applying, what? Kalau understanding and analyse ni, although dua-dua adalah how, but analysing ni, how can, meaning for this one, they need to relate with their opinion. For understanding, dia quite general to let them to find out explanation, elaboration. For analysing, for them to synthesize and expressing their own analysis. For evaluating, higher than analysis because it relates with decision making. For them to evaluate, for them to give their opinion with priority, why this is something better than the other. For creating, come up with new things. So this is level paling tinggi lah untuk Bloom's taxonomy. With ChatGPT and with online learning nowadays, there is a new term called productive struggle. So this productive struggle requires the students to benefit from the ChatGPT through prompts, and lecturer needs to be in the learning loop to be able to give feedback to them and to be able to guide them. So this is where we can stay with the human-based education. This same checklist is available in the handbook. So you can see that in the checklist, we look at whether the lecturer have provided introduction, any outcome, instructor information. So we provide it in the form of questions to let the instructor to check whether what they have conducted and prepared have matched the same criteria. And the same criteria, we have stated also here, the 6 self principles: self-learning, self-explanatory, self-contained, self-directed, self-evaluating, and self-motivating. This is my last slide on the suggestion of best practices on engaging online learning. First, walaupun dia online learning, must have instructor presence, must have. So although it's asynchronous, we shouldn't take advantage to ignore the student. It's still up to our job to make sure that they manage to learn what they're supposed to learn. Community of inquiry. This is where we need to be able to trigger the students to be inquirers, if that word even exists. Community of inquiry, to let them to discuss and deliberate over a specific topic. My example earlier on how I use ChatGPT and I intervene is an example of how I created community of inquiry, to the extent that the students can deliberate and discuss and reflect what is the advantage of using the technology over their learning, and to go deep into understanding the topics that they are looking at. We need to always provide clear expectations, sebab masa online ni kita tak nampakkan face to face, gesture dia macam mana. We need to do good instructional practice, provide conduct active learning, provide personalized feedback, and use technology intentionally. So these are the 7 best practices that I propose for engaging online learning. So that's all from me. Kita ada masa lagi kan, 20 minit ya Encik Amin untuk kita discuss. Okay, silakan. Terima kasih.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Fazlina, for a very interesting sharing and very inspiring, I have to say, very inspiring, that could help us to move forward with these PTGs and AI, ChatGPT, and all those technologies in education, especially it's involving computer embedded learning. Yeah. So if any of the participants have soalan ke hendak bertanya, so you are welcome to unmute your mic so that we can assist you in or menjelaskan apa-apa ke yang dalam pemikiran semua untuk kita laksanakan PTG pada siang akan datang ni ya. So anyone?
Silakan.
Halo Dr. Nurfadhlina.
Ya.
Saya tu bagi chance yang muda-muda tanya, tak ada tanya jadi orang tua lah Dr. Nurfadhlina. Ini soalan umum lah. I think we keep asking this question. Just very interesting. Thank you very much for the sharing. I just want to know generally Dr. Fadhlina di UPM kan since you are the leading abang long kita lah in implementing the blended learning and whatnot kan. Cuma just want to know from you, so far UPM, do you have any sort of tracking program ke whatever kan to know the effect of this kind of program, blended learning, online and whatnot kan kepada student punya kemenjadian tu. In general lah, just want to know from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you Prof. I think this is very important lah kan. Kita concern lah kan dengan student-student kita ni, especially bila kita tak face to face dengan diorang betul ke dapat ke tak dapat kan. Saya kongsikan sedikit pengalaman saya. Pada 2019 tu, masa kita baru buat ni, memang kami perlu buat kajian. Semalam betul saya dah buka ni. Saya tengok sekejap masih ada tak. Memang kami perlu buat kajian on the implikasi kepada pensyarah dan kepada pelajar. Sebab pada masa tu tak biasa lagi kan buat online. Zoom masa tu pun tak kenal. Masa tu Skype. Masa tu masih Skype lagi. Google Meet pun masa tu saya tak ada. Jadi pada masa tu kita punya online macam mana? Saya pun dah tak ingat dah lama ni. Tapi memang kita buat kajian Prof, untuk kita kena pasti dari segi student punya pemahaman dan bukan hanya kepada dia punya grade. So kajian kita pada waktu tu cuma result dia sekejap loading. Tapi yang ni tahun 2019-2020 lah. Selain daripada tu, pengalaman saya, kita pada dah habis COVID tu kita ada buat kajian analisis lah, kajian mengenai implikasi pembelajaran online kepada grade pelajar dan kepada penerimaan pelajar. So Mekta pun ada buat kajian tersebut masa tu. Kita buat survey whether the students ada masalah tak. So dari segi penerimaan yang tu semua saya rasa ramai yang dah tahu kan jawapannya. Tapi dari segi pencapaian sebenarnya bila kita tengok around, saya tanya juga kawan-kawan lain di Mekta, banyak yang dapat markah tinggi sebab pensyarah kadang-kadang diorang kasihan, faktor kasihan tu ada, dan juga faktor dia malas nak semak tu pun ada. Dan sebab student pandai dah copy paste apabila online sebenarnya. Jadi apabila banyak jawapan student yang menghampiri skema, ramailah student yang dapatkan skor. Sebab if we look because we try to be fair with them, kalau dari segi rekod kan on the paper student tu boleh score. So atas sebab itu kita lah yang kena ubah kita punya assessment. So kalau nak relate kepada kemenjadian tu, sebenarnya relate juga kepada kita punya pedagogi dan jadi apa kepada kita pensyarah ni. Ini bukan kemenjadian pensyarah, dah jadi apa kepada pensyarah untuk change ni. Sama juga dengan adanya ChatGPT. So dari segi kemenjadian tu, kalau baca online kan, memang banyak dicadangkan. Ada beberapa perkara, kebetulan ada dalam slide saya satu lagi. Nanti saya insyaAllah lah masuk dalam slide ini untuk saya kongsikan kepada semua. Sebentar, sebelum saya tunjuk yang ni, saya kongsikan ni dulu. Ada beberapa cadangan ni, I think strong cadangan untuk kita sebenarnya can take that online learning ni can give positive effect. Sebab students in the future, dan kalau kita fikir student masa akan datang kan, dan even sekarang, people who are resourceful are people who are advantage, and people who are skillful are people of advantage. Kalau kita terus mengajar dia macam mana kita mengajar dulu, we are not preparing them for the future. Ni memang ni orang lain cakap lah ni, John Dewey, bukan saya. If you teach students today, students as if we taught them yesterday, we rob them of tomorrow. So persoalannya adalah macam mana we can best teach them, making sure, dan teach ni pula ada argument mengatakan kita sebenarnya tidak perlu jadi lecturer oriented. Bukan kita kena teach, kita kena facilitate them in learning. So the word facilitate ni pula ada yang mengatakan nanti teknologi menggantikan kita. So sebenarnya dia shouldn't be menggantikan. It's still up to our job to design. So kemenjadian student tu memang bergantung kepada kita. So walaupun student tu nampak good performance dia nanti, dia akan kena go back to lecturer tu sebenarnya jadi macam tu sebab apa? Dalam this document which was released by UNSW, mereka mencadangkan that with this technology disruption, we need to focus on ability of the students to communicate. Kalau kita dengar, kalau kita tahu World Economic Forum kan, dah banyaklah dengan ada transformasi akademik tu yang negara kita pun buat. Kita fokus kepada student punya communication, critical thinking, problem solving. Now by having the technology, if we think about it kan, teknologi ni, dengan adanya teknologi, lagilah human kena step up. Lagilah human kena be human for us to make us different from the technology and from other lazy people who just take advantage of the technology and allow technology to replace them. So we need to focus on activity to communicate clearly, coherently and confidently. Sebab itu kena banyak buat activity up to the point that when we give them instruction, tell them, bila saya tanya soalan nanti saya nak bagi markah. When the debate tu bagi markah. Imagine if we really do this properly, systematically, tidakkah kita akan menghasilkan thinker, people who are confident, student who are able to debate positively? Tidakkah begitu? Macam Indonesia kan, diorang ada culture sebegini. So it is very timely for Malaysia and to stop hiding behind lengthy reports. Kita especially di universiti banyak memfokuskan kepada buat dokumen, buat panjang-panjang. Pensyarah pun kadang-kadang penat nak baca panjang-panjang tebal-tebal sangat. Padahal sebenarnya kadang-kadang student tulis tak betul, tak apa-apa dia bertulis. Especially ada ChatGPT sekarang ni, kita tak nak kita pula jadi orang yang tak pandai lah. Kita kena mark padahal sebenarnya bukan student tu yang buat. So we need to truly think about how the students can condense yet articulate their understanding through a dialogue that evolve in their thoughts. So in this part, kita pun pensyarah ni, kita kena belajar dan berani dan open. Jangan kita bully lah pula student tu, tanya soalan ke provoke dia. We also need to learn to be open and learn from what they say, from what they give input. So ni kita kena change. Importance of experiential learning ni memang banyak lah orang dah cakap lah biasa experiential learning. Tapi berdasarkan benda tulis ni, kita kena switch to life problems that are evolving in class. So experience tu sebenarnya happen kalau ada sesuatu terjadi dalam, hanya kita bagi dia aktiviti, kita bagi dia task, dia datang, dia present. Tu bukan experiential learning. Experience ni kita dapat pengalaman ni selalu kalau kita melalui benda yang susah-susah. So benda-benda susah ni dalam kelas kita kena simulate this to happen. Challenge them. Allow them to use AI ke, use tech ke. Tapi dengan ada hands on, for them to demonstrate, for them to be comfortable to share. And usually it can be kalau dia share something that they create and something that they innovate, and we give them abundance of praises, abundance of comments, let them to feedback, let them learning each other dengan student tu give feedback. Sebab sekarang ni kalau kita tanya kat student, apa nak tanya tak soalan kat kawan you, tak nak tanya soalan sebab dia orang takut nanti kawan dia marah. So this is also a skill that we need to provide. So for online learning, pengalaman kita di UPM, kita tak adalah buat study berterusan sebelum ini, tetapi dalam sesi-sesi training selalu kita highlightkan lah. Kita tak nak supaya bila buat online learning tu nanti student dah tak connect. Sebab itu, jadi saya kadang-kadang terperanjat juga. Ada orang kata, student kata dia lagi suka face to face. Tapi sebenarnya saya tanya kat pensyarah tu pun sebenarnya dia pun tak rasa dia rasa comfortable nak pakai online tu. Sebab nak pakai online tu kadang-kadang dia tak tahu cara yang sebenar. So cara yang sebenar ni, among the way that we can address this is by asking the student, apa recommend macam mana saya nak improve. So ini pun kita pun belajar. So I think that is the best part being an educator. Sebab kita keep on learning. So we need to assess the quality. Students have to work together. Tapi jangan hanya merely forming groups and splitting up the work. Ini klasikal lah ni. Memang selalu student dia buat group, tapi dia kata, oh part ni doktor orang lain buat, part ni orang lain buat, jangan tanya saya soalan ni. Ada ke boleh? So this is actually wrong. Students need to be, kita kena create supaya dia boleh interact with each other although online. So contohnya, kita buat aktiviti yang require the students to diberi markah sekiranya mereka tanya satu sama lain dan mereka boleh jawab. So satu aktiviti saya pernah buat dulu, saya buat aktiviti game show. Konon nama glamour lah, game show. Tapi sebenarnya saya bahagikan topik-topik kepada beberapa student. Student kena create soalan and let kawan you jawab you punya quiz yang you buat tu. Jawab, lepas tu you analyse, lepas tu you reflect. So this way, masa ni belum ada ChatGPT pun. So this way, let the student, because at the moment that they create questions for their topic, they really understand deeply about that topic. They create the question, kita pun dapat question bank. Pun satu hal juga kan kebaikannya. And we see what are their strength, what are their weakness. And kalau kita fikirkan kembali, sebenarnya semua ni pergi kepada inquiry based learning. Inquiry tu would require people to think and to inquire, to tanya. Sebab kalau dalam education ni talaki kan, talaki tu meaning you diajar, you bercakap. Itulah kena communicate. Kadang-kadang saya rasa ni saya ni banyak sangat falsafah dah lah tu ya Prof. Prof nak sambung boleh sambung Prof. Sila. Menceceh lah saya ni. Aduh.
Terima kasih.
Thank you Prof Rashid for a very ini soalan yang mencukil minda sebenarnya soalan Prof Rashid tu jauh sebenarnya tu dia punya pandangan tu kalau kita tengok soalan tu tadi kan very deep So anyway, we are actually moving towards the end of our program Dr. Fadhlina. Thank you so much for having us with you this morning, and we are very grateful lah. Sebenarnya when you are talking so much sharing in your sharing, especially when it's come to the question, when the student asking, tell me what I need to know or to do tu, so memang di sana kita sudah nampak how it's actually going towards the selective perceptions of the content yang sebenarnya yang kita perlu ini kemudian memang berlakulah dekat sana apa yang you have mentioned earlier, human technologies and all those, and then so maybe before we end up, yang ini mungkin kita boleh Dr. Fazlina boleh bagi jawapan kepada what we have in the chat room here. How long does it take to adopt to adopt as a SIM, yang ni. The question is how long jangka masa ni untuk pembinaan ini, Doktor?
Terima kasih pengalaman saya kan. Sebenarnya kan susah tau pensyarah nak buat. Ini kisah benar lah. Sebabnya satu, pensyarah ni idealistik tau. Dia cakap macam, dia cakap ni saya nak buat ni jadi gini-gini ni. Sebenarnya itu the a person is the best critic of himself or herself. Kan sebenarnya. So, I would like to suggest, kita boleh take step by step. Saya sekarang ni memang saya punya mantra banyak lah. Okay, tak apalah. Kalau macam overwhelming, kita take step by step. Okay. So, kisah yang paling senang, sebenarnya, I think number one, kita cuba buat dekat dalam platform tu, jangan dia kosong sahaja dulu. I think itulah yang basic sekali kita boleh buat. Sebab, kalau kita nak ubah yang dekat dalam konten slide kita tu, dan kalau kita nak buat video tu, saya rasa effort dia lebih. So, kita buat step number one, if I can recommend, bila you upload, at least biasakan letak ayat. Letak ayat tu sebenarnya you menujukan what you upload for the student, to let them benefit. You do and use these materials because you dedicate to them, right? Okay, so step number one, to give instruction for them to know how to use and for them to know how to learn. Kita kadang-kadang kita lupa nak mengajar student how to learn. Cakap dengan dia, kalau saya bagi ni pandai belajar lah. Lepas tu saya nak SSU. Itu bukan educator. Lain itu instructor, bagi arahan. Educator dengan instructor lain. Okay, so step nombor 2, apa yang kita boleh buat adalah barulah kita tengok bahan yang kita buat ni cukup ke tak cukup sebenarnya. Macam mana we can improve untuk kita buat bila kita mengajar student ni boleh faham. Yang itu I rasa penting lah, nak boleh faham. Kalau slide ni kadang tak cukup, saya pun kadang-kadang buat slide pun kadang-kadang buat masa sekarang ni, slide pun kadang-kadang sebenarnya tak bagus, tak cukup. Sebab kat online tu lagi banyak materials yang bagus. So make sure you actually know what are the correct composition, correct and best composition of learning materials. And for this, sometimes saya tanya kat student, you all selalu refer mana? Rupanya student ni tahulah mana-mana. Tapi bila kita tanya macam tu, rupanya diorang ni tahu influencer dalam topik tu. Which saya kalau search pun tak jumpa that channel. Kata doktor, orang ni kan sebenarnya dia ada banyak yang ni saya selalu follow. Masa tu sejuknya hati. Macam wow, sebenarnya you rajin buat ni semua. You all semua buat ni ke? Macam wow, sayangnya, bagusnya. Itulah kita kena be human kan. So bila kita tahu, baru kita tengok. Tapi takkanlah kita dah tahu dia pakai yang tu, kita nak pakai yang tu lagi. So kita kena identify yang lain, kena cukupkan. So bila kita cukupkan, jangan lupa kita kena letakkan penerangan dan ayat part mana yang kena tambah. So biasa dalam slide kita letak gambar atau penerangan tu selalunya direct to the topic. Tapi kita tak buat explanation. So untuk menjadi SIM, slide kita tu boleh jadi SIM. Caranya you insert blank slide, you provide your own reflection to explain yang previous tu. Dan bila you fikir-fikir balik, sebab itu kat sini senang pakai ChatGPT tau. Sebab apa? Sebenarnya itu skrip. Bila you explain tu, nak buat ayat cantik, pakailah skrip. Jadi bila dah ada skrip, apa you nak buat? You bolehlah start recording dan ayat pun jadi cantik lah ayat lama-lama. Sebab kita kata kat student kena belajar boleh dialog kan. So kita pun kena pandai lah, ayat kita pun kena step up lah sikit. Macam itulah yang saya boleh cadangkan. Dah makin lama boleh banyak buat video, boleh confident buat video. Video tu pula kena cang-cang, jangan satu chapter tu one shot 4-5 jam pengsan student. So kita kena tahu pecahkan dia kepada unit-unit. So buat short videos, upload, dan tak semestinya dalam satu chapter kena ada semua video, tidak semestinya. So this way for you, I would like to suggest that you replan, lepas tu identify lah apa strength, apa weakness, apa nak buat. Satu lagi mungkin saya boleh kongsikan, a move that I tried to make for several years adalah untuk move from document report kepada buat blog. So sebab sekarang ni student dan orang ramai, kalau nak tengok dia tu bagus ke tak bagus, dia dah ada medium account ke belum. Saya pun tak ada. Saya paling ada pun dekat LinkedIn je. So the point is, the students need to be, we need to help the students to prepare for their future, digital future ni. Diorang kena ada digital signature. Digital signature ni bukan yang dekat dalam email tu. I mean digital presence, digital presence. So contohnya, instead of, ni saya nak cadangkan, instead of hanya buat dokumen dan report-report, which report-report ni akhirnya akan reside in our laptop ataupun reside dalam bentuk paper. Kita takkan bilik kita bersepah. Buat portfolio. Terima kasih Nurul Nazira. Yes. Buat e-portfolio. So bolehlah pakai Blogspot ke, pakai LinkedIn ke, dan boleh buat by group. Sebab bila datang next semester kan, ni senang. Nanti you boleh buat video, you terangkan yang semester sebelum balik, you terangkan. Itu pun jadi satu learning materials. So student tu belajar macam-macam benda lah. Tidak semestinya hanya tengok kepada slide. Sebab kalau slide pun kadang-kadang boring. Tak nampak apa benda ada kat dalam ni kan. Akhirnya ni nak pergi ke mana. So mungkin boleh guna this technique lah. Hopefully boleh step by step ni. Nanti Sylvia, we hope that you'll be one of the excellent adopters. Sylvia mengajar apa Sylvia? What course do you teach?
Medic.
Wow, lagi best lah, sangat sesuai, akan bagi manfaat lah kepada ramai orang. All the best Sylvia.
Thank you Dr. Fadhlina and also Dr. Sylvia. Before we end up, so I would like to invite Prof Fong for a few words of appreciation. Please welcome Prof Fong.
Thank you, Amin. Dr. Nurfadhlina, for the past 2 hours, we were all captivated by you. We are mesmerized. There's so much sharing of your expertise, of your experience, and indeed, Dr. Nurfadhlina, you're a very generous educator. You share everything to us, and even all the resources. Really, terima kasih banyak-banyak. Okay, and if time allows, I know that Dr. Fadhlina can continue to share so much more experience. Our next seminar, we are booking you in advance. Our next seminar with Dr. Nurfadhlina will be on ChatGPT. Okay, so we are making arrangement. Okay, and we believe that her so much of expertise. By the way, Dr. Nurfadhlina, her field, her bidang is AI, artificial intelligence. So she is the authority to actually share concerning ChatGPT with us. So we are looking forward very soon in the next time that we are with her. So I'm very sure my dear colleagues in UMS, we are very impressed, and we want to say terima kasih banyak-banyak on behalf of our UMS to Dr. Nurfadhlina for your very, very rich and inspiring sharing. Okay, terima kasih.
Thank you, Prof Fong. So before we end up, maybe we can switch on our cam for a group photo. This is a very rare opportunity to have Dr. Fadhlina with us. But we are welcoming you again one more time, Dr. Fadhlina, for the ChatGPT AI presentation.
Yes.
Okay, insyaAllah nanti saya cuba prepare. Semangat ni. Kita try buat scene.
Yeah. Okay, thank you everyone. Zul from PP.
Okay, minta semua buka kamera. Dah ready. Okay. Okay, ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Sekejap ya. Sekali lagi. 1, 2, 3. Sekejap, tunggu, masih ada yang buka. Okay. Sekejap ya. Okay, ready. 1, 2, 3. Okay, bilik sebelah lagi. Sekejap ya. Ramai ni.
Ya.
Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Last one. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zul. And
Okay,
we
thank you
also
for the time,
have your
everybody.
attendance, yeah, in the link provided. So hopefully that you will kita akan apply for your IDP point for this webinar. And before we end this morning, thank you so much one more time, Dr. Fadhlina, for being here with us, and we really appreciate everything that you have shared with us. And your presence this morning was very meaningful and inspiring. Thank you one more time.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Cik Amin, for
Okay,
the
thank you.
wonderful, nice words. Have a good
Thank you,
weekend,
Dr.
everybody. Selamat Hari
Yeah.
Raya Haji. Assalamualaikum. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye, Dr. Nurfadhlina. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We will stop the recording now.